Hi everyone, and I would like to welcome you to this webinar for March for the Virtual Coaching Network. And my apologies for it being late because I had to cancel the live ones due to illness, and sometimes that happens to all of us. So I'm April Forts, and I'm the State Supervisor of Mathematics here at the Iowa Department of Education. And this month we are going to talk about modeling and data analysis, and that's standards for mathematical practices 2, 4, and 5. And if this is the first time that you're joining us, I would really encourage you to go back and watch some of our previous webinars on Claim 1, 2, and 3 that really talked about the content and the other standards for mathematical practices. And all of this information is available on our Iowa core pages to help you better understand that information that's on there. We do have a little guide that we have been working on, and this guide is in draft form. And if you find any edits or anything like that, or a way that we can make it better, please feel free to email me. We are hoping to get this to a more finished state after we have educators use it. And so under part 4, you would select part 4, and using the heading, we can skip right down to part 4. And so part 4 talks about aligning the standards for mathematical practices 2, 4, and 5 to modeling and data analysis assessment targets. In claim number 4, modeling and data analysis, students can analyze complex real-world scenarios and can construct and use mathematical models to interpret and solve problems. Modeling links classroom mathematics and statistics to everyday life, work, and decision making. Students can use modeling and data analysis to choose and use appropriate mathematics and statistics to analyze and understand situations, to make predictions, find solutions, and improve decision making on results based on results from the model. The standards feature modeling as both a mathematical practice at all grades and a content focus of high school mathematics. So we're going to talk about, within Claim 4, standards of mathematical practices 2, 4, and 5. And so those are: 2 is to reason abstractly and quantitatively. 4 is to model mathematics. 5 is to use appropriate tools strategically. So we will use claim number 4 in a 3rd grade for our example. So what this does is this just walks you through the steps of getting to those pages and kind of what you're looking at to break it apart. So when we go to the assessment pages, at first what you're going to see is the classroom resources where we have it broken down by grade level. So we're going to select that grade 3 target defined, and then that's going to open up to the grade 3 targets here. And so you're going to see the content claims or the content standards, and then you're also going to see the other claims below that. So you have the option to either select claim 4 and jump down to the bottom, or you can scroll all the way down until you see the targets. And then you can read the descriptor, which will say students can analyze complex real-world scenarios and can construct and use mathematical models to interpret and solve problems. And so then you'll continue to go down, and you'll notice that the assessment targets A through G for claim 4. And so target A is to apply mathematics to solve problems arising in everyday life, society, and the workplace. And so the DOK levels are already indicated here for you. Target B is to construct autonomously chains of reasoning to justify mathematical models used, interpretations made, and solutions proposed for complex problems. Target 3 or C is to state logical assumptions being used. Target D is to interpret results and context of a situation. Target E is to analyze the adequacy of and make improvements to an existing model or develop a mathematical model of real phenomenon. Target F is to identify important quantities in practical situations and map their relationships. And target G is to identify, analyze, and synthesize relevant external resources to pose or solve problems. So what this is saying here is just that the content claims and the standards for mathematical practices are embedded in these assessment targets up here. So if we look at these assessment targets, we're going to see standards for mathematical practices 2, 4, and 5. They're in here. And then what we do is we take the content and we place the content inside of the problem solving or inside of the modeling and data analysis, looking to hit these targets. So notice that there are some targets or clusters of content listed below, and those are just saying that these are some of the ones that naturally lend themselves to be embedded into the modeling and data analysis. We could embed any of the content into there. And then the last piece is the achievement level descriptors. And remember, your achievement level descriptors are like your ruler. That's what you're going to use to determine if a student's work is proficient or not, and how we're going to measure. It's kind of like your ruler. So we're going to look for that evidence from that student's work, and then using these descriptors decide, is the student's work proficient or not proficient, or is it exceeding it? And it says that examples of Claim 4 modeling and data analysis questions can be found at the end of the assessment targets for the content used during Part 1. So let's go over to the Iowa Corps website where you would find this. And so we would go to iowacorps.gov, and when we bring that up, we're going to go to Educator Resources, and then we'll go over here to Mathematics, and we'll scroll down to under Assessment. It's under the summative. So as we said, we were going to go to the Claim 3 targets defined, and we're going to use the table of contents to scroll down to Claim 4. And these are those targets that we previously read. So they were in the guide, but this is what you're going to see on the page. And if you go to the different grades, then you're going to see different targets. And the targets are done by grade band. So these would be the same targets for modeling and data analysis for grades 3, 4, and 5. So then you'll see that this is where they have the content, and then also the achievement level descriptors. So we're going to go up and we're going to take a look at 30AA. And so if we scroll back up to the top and we go to target A, because that is the cluster for the standard 30AA. And so it has 4 standards in it. And so if we open that up, and we can use the table of contents right here to skip down to Claim 4 and scroll down a little bit, and we see that here is an example where example 1, Tina has 4 packs of gum. Each pack has the same number of pieces of gum. However, there are 60 pieces of gum. Make an equation to find the number of pieces in each pack. Use N for the number of pieces in each pack is for part A, and then part B is how many pieces of gum are in each pack. So there's a little scoring rubric here that says the student should get 2 points, 1 point for a correct answer to each part. For part A, the student enters a correct equation. So for an example, they could enter N equals 60 divided by 4, or they could enter 4 times N equals 60, or 4 equals 60 divided by N. For part B, the student enters the correct number. So I would encourage you to go back and look at your grade levels and look at the targets and look at the content, and really to challenge your students to get to that deeper level. Now, an additional tool that we have on the Iowa Corps, because that's all about what the student should know and be able to do. But then we also want to think about the instructional practices as a teacher. And so under the 8 effective teaching practices, if we go in here and look at this, and if we want our little kiddos to really do problem solving or to do modeling and data analysis, then there's some of our practices that we're going to want to make sure that we also do. So as the teacher, then I'm going to make sure that I'm establishing my goals to focus learning and implement tasks that promote reasoning and problem solving. And I'll want to use and connect mathematical representations. While the students are working and figuring out what that means, I'll want to make sure that they're having mathematical discourse, and that as a teacher, and that I'm facilitating that, and that as a teacher I'm posing purposeful questions, and I'll be building some conceptual understanding here. And I want to support productive struggle and learning mathematics and elicit and use evidence of students' thinking. So and most of the time I'm going to use all my practices, but I'll want to really hone in and make sure that I'm allowing students that opportunity to model and really analyze that data and always say, what does that mean? And how do we know? And things like that. So I want to thank you for joining me for this little webinar. And as always, please let me know if you have any questions. Bye, everyone.